So I need you to do me a huge, huge favor. Comment in the chat where you're from. Drop the name of your business and or your brand. Smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen. And let's kick it this morning. Yo, what's up, Ultimate Hustlers, and welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show, the business podcast for the entrepreneur of the 21st century. And I'm your host, Cortez Hustle. Our goal is to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how the world's greatest hustlers build amazing brands, scale their businesses to incredible heights, sell more, make more, and create mass movements that impact the world. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned vet or you're sitting on the sidelines with aspirations to one day unleash your inner hustle. This show will provide the insights into how pure grit, determination, and hard work has morphed into some of the most iconic brands and personalities and how they are moving the culture forward. You'll get a mix of solo shows featuring yours truly, as well as interviews and content from other hustlers that I either know personally or I've learned from or whose grind I've come to know and respect. And you'll also get exclusive recordings from our membership called Monetize My Life Academy, which you can check out at monetizemylifeacademy.com. That's a program where we go live every month with some of the best hustlers on the planet, sharing best practices on how we all can explode our brands with advanced branding and marketing tactics, business development strategies, and financial game planning necessary to build the empires we all desire. Again, that's at monetizemylifeacademy.com. If you like today's episode, chances are the hustlers you're connected to will like it as well. Share it with those in your network. And when you do, use hashtag Cortez Hustle so I can see you and hopefully give you a shout out and share you in my stories. So check out today's episode and make sure you subscribe to the feed on your favorite podcasting networks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show. I am, of course, your host, Cortez Hustle, everybody's favorite fatherpreneur, coming to you live and direct from the Monetize My Life Academy studios right here in St. Louis, Missouri. It is the premier school of online entrepreneurship. If you're looking to turn your gifts, talent, special abilities, experience, and expertise into a digital products business, we want to help you do just that. Check out monetizemylifeacademy.com. Today, we're talking about success in business, and chances are what you think success in business is could be 100% wrong, according to our special guest. He's going to break down 5 myths about success in business, how to measure success, how your mindset should be looking at and thinking about success. It's going down today. So I got a couple quick announcements before we bring on our special guest. As you guys know, if you're watching us on Facebook, Facebook has now allowed creators like myself to monetize our channel. So if you think that I provide some value to you, then you can click on the link in the description. Go buy some stars, hit your boy up with some stars, but not just me, all of your favorite creators. You're getting great information that's helping propel you throughout this thing called life. Then show some love with dropping stars. Don't forget the Digital Empire Builders Worldwide Facebook group is going down. One of the reasons you might want to be in that group is because we do live office hours every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. That means if you're in that group, you can hop on with me, other subject matter experts, ask questions, get the help that you need to grow your business for free. That's Digital Empire Builders Worldwide right here on Facebook. And of course, office hours every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to tap in, my people. So I'm not going to waste any time, man. I'm going to bring on our special guest. Super excited to have this gentleman come hang out with us. He's an amazing entrepreneur, but y'all know you got to be an amazing person to be on the Cortez Hustle Show, and he is that as well. So let me introduce to some of you guys and present to others my brother from another mother, Mr. Luis.
Hello, my friend.
Baez, how are you? How are you? How are you? There we go.
The energy is high, the enthusiasm, the optimism is all the way up. Thank you so much for having me, my friend. Ooh, I love you and I need you, and I really do mean that. This is just such an honor to be here today.
Listen, man, I am glad to have you, man. This show is all about helping to bring entrepreneurship to the forefront. I believe that we learned in school that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Well, I
Mm.
believe the shortest distance between poverty and wealth is a straight
Mm.
line called entrepreneurship. So here we go, brother.
Yeah.
And I love to
Yes.
bring people on who've got a unique perspective on
Yes.
entrepreneurship. So before we get into your story, who you are, where you're from, and what you do, and why you are even worthy enough to be on the Cortez Hustle Show. No, I'm kidding. But why you are here and what you want to talk about, we start the Cortez Hustle Show every morning with a quote of the day. So the way it works is I'm going to share a quote. If you got a favorite quote, by all means, feel free to share that one or comment on this one. But I was at Genius Conference here in St. Louis just this past weekend, and I heard Pastor Darnell West says, "Never change who you are,
Mm.
but you may have to change how you present who you are." So, do you have a favorite quote, or do you want to give your thoughts on that one?
I'm going to share a favorite quote, actually. And I like to share this, and I always preface it with it's a bit harsh, but I think it's important to hear it from time to time. And I can't attribute it to anyone. This was someone that I actually was an arch nemesis of mine who used to say this, and then it stuck with me. But the quote is, excuses are the tools of idiots, and I'm too smart to use them.
Wow, that is harsh, but
Yes.
sometimes we need harsh, right?
Yes.
If you think about a sculptor who takes out those harsh brushes and they go to work on
Hmm.
perfecting that thing, it's harsh to look at.
Yeah.
But imagine being that thing that's being sanded down and handled so
Hmm.
roughly. But then, what does it look like on the other side when it's polished and it's sitting up on the
It's
mantle,
beautiful.
right? So,
Yeah, we
yeah,
we have to consciously interrupt our train of thought sometimes with these sort of harsh reminders, because sometimes the soft and the repetitive is what keeps us stuck. So I like to interrupt my thoughts when I can.
yeah, I love it. I say the 80-20 rule, right?
Mm.
80% of the time, my affirmations are positive and
Yes.
aspirational, inspirational. But 20% of the time, I do have to put my foot to my own behind. And I think that is true for everyone. At some point, you can't just keep praising yourself and telling yourself how good you are. It's important because most of us don't pat ourselves on the back enough. So
Mm.
it's important to do that. But to your point, you got to be real with yourself too, and
Yes.
and be like, hey, get it together, shape up. So that is the quote of the day, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by, of course, Monetize My Life Academy. I've got a free gift that I want to give each and every one of you guys. I've been screaming that if you're a coach, consultant, influencer, or creator, and you want your own products, I love the use of private label rights content. So go to monetizemylifeblueprint.com. I've got a free guide on the 7 top ways that you can make money from PLR content, monetize my life blueprint.com. So, Luis, my friend, I ask everybody who comes on the Cortez Hustle Show this one very special question, so you don't get to escape it, my friend. And the question is this: who the heck are you?
I don't know that I figured that out, or maybe I haven't figured out what I want to be when I grow up because it's a constant evolution. But let me tell you where I've been. My family and I are from Puerto Rico. I was born on the island, raised in the South Bronx, in the Peas, forest houses. I grew up in poverty, public schooling, did the thing. I'm the first in my family to graduate high school. Like I'm the first to walk down the aisle and get that diploma, not a GED.
Mm,
Finish it all the way through. Went off to college, the first to do that. I'm also the first to start my own business. I'm also the first to pursue a career in corporate. I work in corporate sales and tech sales as well. And I'm happy to get into all of that. But the way that I ended up on this path was imagine coming up, the rhetoric, the advice, and everything that you're given about pulling yourself up. No one's coming to save you. Closed mouths don't get fed. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So I put all of that into practice. And through the grace of my community, my ancestors, and everybody behind me, I ended up down this path. After going through do I want to be a doctor? No. Do I want to be a lawyer? No. How do I develop wealth? How do I get my family out of this situation? How do I get myself out of this situation? I went down the business path. To your point, that direct line of getting out of poverty is entrepreneurship. You could work for someone for several years and be stuck at a fixed income. But entrepreneurship gives you that flexibility to be rewarded for your extra hard work in a way that I don't see anywhere else, or how else in capitalism to make it happen. And
I
so
love
that's how I ended up down this path. And I ended up having a career in sales, being recruited to work at some of the top companies in the world. I've worked at LinkedIn, Google, Uber, Tesla. I've been a sales rep doing business to business, tech, and advertising sales. I've been a sales manager leading a team across North America. And now, in my current occupation, I work for a startup as the head of revenue enablement. So, my job is to make sure that everyone who sells in the company is coached and trained to make their best impact and performance in the company.
that.
So, I went from being the Olympian to being the Olympic trainer.
I love that. I love that. That's amazing. So let's go back, man. Puerto Rican born, raised in the big city, right?
Yes.
Bronx, right? You said Bronx?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 10 minutes
So
from Yankee Stadium.
I like it. So what I want to do is I want to talk about this journey,
Mm,
as I talk to a lot of black men, not very many brown men, right? So Project Raise, talk about your experience growing up in poverty
mm.
in the land of the free and the home of the brave, and how those things shaped you, even when you look back to who you are today.
Gosh, I mean, so we can unpack this for hours and hours, but let me try to boil this down and synthesize it. So the context, growing up in the P's in the 80s and the 90s in the Bronx, let's talk Reaganism. Let's talk about AIDS. Let's talk about the entire,
Crack
crack,
epidemic.
crack, yes, all of it. And let's talk about how it also impacted my family, right? Like I have seen members of my family go down that path. Um, but then let's also contextualize this with being light skinned in a darker environment. There's a lot of white resentment with everything going on politically and socially and economically. And on top of that, I'm the chubby kid. I'm also out and gay, and I was a little bit femme as a kid. So I had this target on my back, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the way that I was able to navigate being my authentic self while also thriving in that sort of environment, I leaned
Mhm,
into school. I hid in the library. I got to
mhm.
the computers,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah,
did I did those things, and I ended up walking down that path.
yeah. And that's like, context matters.
Yeah.
You said chubby, we know there's fat shaming that going on. Light
Yep.
skin in a dark environment, we know that that brings a certain amount of hate.
Yep.
Openly gay, that creates a whole nother situation. And
Yeah.
not today,
Yeah.
then. Like, it's tough to be outwardly gay. I have an outwardly gay son, right? And it's tough today, right?
Yes.
Most people can't fathom, and that's why so many people were reluctant to come out in that time, that
Mm.
it was literally life or death in some communities,
Yeah.
because people were so afraid, people were so scared. It was something. So you had those things, and then and then you add poverty on top of that, right?
Yeah.
Because I'd imagine that being light skinned, being a chubby kid, being openly gay in a wealthy community has a different, you in a different situation. But then you add
For sure.
poverty on top of that. Projects, what
Yeah.
people don't understand about the projects is you've got tens of thousands of people concentrated in a 1 to 2 mile radius.
Yes.
That's not how we were designed to live, y'all. That's
No.
that's not natural, right?
No.
So school, library, hit the books really hard. Another thing you said, I'm the first one in my family to graduate high school,
Right.
not college. I've heard people say I'm the first generation college grad for my family, but high school. So, what was your family like as you really cracked the books? I would imagine there are some jokes about you thinking you're smarter than everybody else and that kind of stuff. So, how was the family treating your dive into the books and all of these things?
Yeah. For them, they as long as I was happy and out of trouble, that was the
Mhm.
most important thing. As
Okay.
coming up, I was bullied, assaulted, all the things, right? So as long
Mhm.
as I was safe and I was happy, that was their primary concern.
Gotcha.
And they also got it. They understood like there was a correlation between like the more you read, the more money you make in life, right? That's
Mhm.
something that they understood intrinsically. And so they were happy to support this path, but they were very clear. It's on
Mhm.
you, right? There is no college fund.
Yeah.
There is no grandma's trust, right? There
Mhm.
is no money under the mattress, right? So if this is what you want, it's entirely on you. And
Mhm.
in New York State, I don't know, the laws have changed, but in New York State at that time, when you were 14 years old, you could go to your guidance counselor and get a work permit. Your
Mhm.
parents signed it, the guidance counselor co-signed it, and I think you were allowed to work a part-time job, no more than 20 hours a week at the age
Mhm.
of 14.
Yeah.
So let's hit McDonald's, let's scrub these toilets, let's do what we had to do, right? Because I had to now put my own food on the table, my own clothing on the back. It was the expectation that when I could, I
Mhm.
would start doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And knowing that I wanted to go to college, but I didn't have the money, I was feverishly focused on like, let me get the grades, let me do the after work, after school,
Mhm.
extracurriculars, let me, work at Starbucks. I would open up in the mornings before going into high school. I would close up after class at the end of the day. I
Yeah.
would get the free little, snacks and everything like that and stack. I was like, I'm just gonna save for college, not knowing what it'll cost or whatever.
Mhm.
And when I got to college, I had saved just enough money to get myself through the first semester in terms of supplies and books and
Oh,
furnishing
wow.
my dorm room. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I kept pushing.
I love that. I love that. And what school did you end up going to?
I went to Wheaton College in Southern Massachusetts. Shout out to my Lions.
All right, good. So, and I ask this predominantly when I talk to Black women on the show, but
Mhm.
you are also double, triple, quadruple minority in some senses, right? Predominantly white institution. How was your experience
Mm.
navigating that as a brown, openly gay man? And I'm sure your focus is, man, whatever they're throwing at me, I just got to do what I got to do to get through this thing. I got to go. But I don't care where you are in the world, if you're different, it brings on a certain amount of challenges,
Yeah.
just period. I don't
Yeah.
care. Challenges, maybe different challenges, but challenges nonetheless. How did you navigate?
Oh, let me set some context, right? So I thought I was going to college. I got this scholarship, a leadership scholarship from the Posse Foundation. So I went to
Mhm.
school full tuition. I also was part of a cohort of 10 students. We got to know each other and train together before we ever showed up on campus, just to
Mhm.
give us that leg up because we were all first generation. We were all the first to do this. We didn't have a network. We didn't have anything to rely on. So the
Yeah.
program was designed to give us that kind of foundational support. So
Mhm.
I walked in thinking like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, I got this, I got everything I need. Um, Beautiful campus, everything that I want, etc. But the context is this is a small liberal arts school. So there were fewer students on this entire campus than there were in my entire high school. I went to a
Mhm.
public school. I went to Martin Luther King Jr. in New York City. That school doesn't even exist anymore because they chopped it up into like 15 charter schools or whatever they did with it. But
Mhm.
I was the second to last graduating class from that
Gotcha.
school, right?
Okay.
2,200 students. I show up on campus, 1,500 students,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that anonymity and all of that, that's all gone.
Mhm.
I also went to a school that was historically women's. So
Mm.
white women were the predominant population on this campus
Okay.
and all the values and principles that they care about and that protect them
Mhm.
institutionally.
Yeah.
And I came against that in my experience in college.
Yeah.
Couple that with also small school in the middle of nowhere, there were Klansmen like a couple of miles down the road. So
Mhm.
imagine me, my gay self, Puerto Rican self, headphones on, I got my textbooks, I'm bopping, walking to class. Dudes in a pickup truck throwing bottles at me, dropping the
Mhm.
F bomb, right?
Wow.
Just like coming at me. And then not getting the protection and the support that I needed to feel safe all the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's add to that. I mentioned to you that little like nest egg savings that I, got in high
Mhm.
school to pay for college didn't last me past my first semester. So I
Mhm.
was also working three jobs. I was holding down the grades on the dean's list, maintaining the scholarship, working at the library, was an RA as well. Let's talk about, delivering this, doing that, odd jobs, whatever, because
Mhm.
I got bills to make, textbooks to pay for.
That's right. That's right. Man, kudos to you, brother. If you've ever, if I've ever known anyone that I would respect for quitting, like that's
Mm,
kind of the stuff that you had to deal with and to not quit. kudos to you, brother. I mean, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, because I can't imagine. People talk to me often about well, they don't talk to me often. They talk about me behind my back often
Mm,
about my relationship with my gay son, right? And what it should be and how to define that. But they don't understand where I come from, very impoverished community, very homophobic community, where I've
yeah,
seen with my own two eyes what happens to gay men
yeah,
for being themselves,
yeah,
period. So it's a nightmare that I often have about what potentially could happen to my son just because he is who he is. So for you to endure and to be here and to be thriving on top of that, that's a whole testimony in and of itself, brother. So kudos to you. So we're
yeah.
gonna get into my favorite segment of the show, brother. A segment called 1 minute motivation. That's why I'm gonna play a short motivational clip. It's usually 60 to 90 seconds or so. I'm gonna ask your takeaways. The audience will always give their takeaways as well, and I have a few of my own. So let's get into some 1 minute motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show.
We have to
Mhm.
continue to educate people on the reality that you can make a difference. Politics is a part of it, but it's not the absolute. That we have to be actively engaged in being current in terms of our knowledge and skills, because the whoever's in the White House, it doesn't matter if you don't have the skill set and the mindset to turn adversity to your advantage, or to find a way to get your piece of the pie. That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
That there's a big pie out here and everybody want a piece of it, but everybody's not going to get a piece of it, because the road to life is straight and narrow, and few there be that find it, because few there be that are willing to do the inner work. Few there be that are willing to upgrade their skills and their knowledge. Few there be that will face rejections and no's day in and day out and decide it's not over until I win. And most people, they allow themselves to be broken. They will surrender. But you have got to have the kind of mindset, no matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. You're not going to stop me. I have a goal, I have a dream, and my stopping or giving up because of the failures, because of the rejections, that's a non-negotiable no. I'm coming at you from another angle, and I'm not going to stop till I get through.
Ooh-wee, brother.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I couldn't have planned it any better, right? What he's talking about is what you've lived. So the reason that I love 1 minute motivation is because no matter where we are in life, right? We all just heard the same clip, or we all just listened to the same clip. But based on where we are in life, we all heard something very different. So, what did you hear, my friend?
This resonated with me because something that I always say, and again, everybody's been overquoted, so I can't attribute it to anyone. But I've always believed that whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Mhm.
Right? When
Yeah.
we talk about that mindset shift that needs to happen,
Hmm.
and then we couple that with what I mentioned earlier about not making excuses, right?
Hmm.
That's the recipe to making things happen for yourself.
Yeah.
Because the reality is like, look, I could have shown up with everything that was presented to me, and I could have said, I'm not going to go to school. I'm not going to
Hmm.
show up at the library. I'm going to, hustle. I'm going to do whatever I got to do, make money. I'm going to get involved in all these other things with all the wrong people, etc. And no judgment, because it's very real. I've seen many of
Hmm.
my friends go down that path because
Hmm.
they were not well supported, or they were too afraid, or they lack the hope, right, or
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
optimism to pursue things for themselves.
Yeah.
But that comes down to your intrinsic belief, whether you can or you can't, and you believe that you are right. And
Yeah.
I'll say this to anyone that's listening and just needing a little bit, of a cherry on top of that. In my line of work, as an executive in corporate, I've sat down with Fortune 500 C-level executives, CEOs, CMOs, you name it. I've also, as a consultant, worked with founders and CEOs of companies. I've also had the privilege of connecting with, through friends and networks, celebrities, chefs, celebrities, all these people. All of these people grapple with imposter syndrome. None of them ever truly believed that they could do what they could do. They just dared to, and then they arrived. And it was a
Mm.
messy, messy process. It was never linear. It was never like, oh, point A to point B. It was like point A to J, back to C, over to, LMNOP, and then back to B, right? And people will tell you that it's messy, but I can tell you that the people at the top, they're just as insecure as any of us are.
Yeah.
They just dared to do the thing.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, Les Brown, the great, started out talking about being engaged intentionally.
Hmm.
Like some people are sitting back and just allowing life to happen as if they do not have a single ounce of control of the input, which therefore allows them to control the output. And they just are like one of my favorite quotes that I like to preach often is either do or don't do, but don't not do and complain, right? Because you're either gonna do it or if you're not gonna do it, like one of the things that I'm not huge on is the political scene, and sometimes I vote, sometimes I don't. But what you won't catch me do is complaining about who's doing what if I ain't participating in the process. I've decided not to participate, so I'm not gonna complain about what the outcome is. But people are deciding not to participate in the process of their own life. And all they do is complain about what is or isn't. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is 1 minute motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, brought to you by our good friend Luis Baez. He's going to give you the details of where to connect with him later on in the show. But he also talked about in that clip being willing to do the inner work. And I know you don't get to where you get to, where you are, from where you come from without the inner work and without making this a mental health or counseling session. We've got to talk a little bit. I encourage the people when it comes to the mental work that you had to do on yourself to create the best version of yourself. Talk a little bit about the importance of that and going within and doing the work to become the person that you want to be so that you can do and have the things that you want to have.
I think one of the biggest myths, and thinking about like myths about business success or even personal success, is this notion of like it's all on you. And that is, that capitalism, that self-determinism, and everything that works against us. And so what we have to identify is that we cannot be successful or happy just alone. And as we evolve, we have to tap on more shoulders. And I say that because when I was much younger, I didn't have therapy. I didn't have life coaching. I didn't have access to all of these things. I had God, I had my ancestors, and I had a journal. And I would write to God, and I would speak to God and the ancestors, and I'd ask for guidance and message, all of that, right? When I got health insurance, as I progressed in life, then I got the therapist. When I got, that nice salary, disposable income, then I got the life coach. So I got the life coach, I got the therapist, I have my writing. I also have networks of people, circles and things like that I'm a part of as well, where I find space to celebrate, grieve, be in community. Right? All of those things are important. And so I say that, the inner work starts slow, but as soon as you can, ask for help, ask for more help, keep asking for more help. The more help you get, the further you'll go and the further you'll get. Even in business, like I got myself a business coach, right? Because we got the spiritual stuff down, we got the emotional stuff down. I had to go through some mindset stuff because it was like whack-a-mole trying to get my money. You know what I mean? And I needed somebody to help me out. And it's real. It's real. My success is not all mine. We talk about me, Luis, coming up and doing the thing, but I can name an entire roster of people that helped me each and every phase of this journey.
Man, one of the phrases that I absolutely detest is self-made millionaire.
Oh yeah.
Because nobody does it by themselves. There's no such thing. It's oxymoronic. And I think people, when you look at the way God created this whole thing, he didn't create us to be independent. He didn't create us to be codependent. He didn't certainly create us to be dependent on anything but him. He created us walking this earth together to be interdependent. Hey, there's a reason that I got this portion of God and it can only take me so far, but you got this portion of God. If you put your portion of God with my portion of God, one can put 1,000 a flight, two could put 10,000 a flight. Imagine if 10 of us get together, what can we do? Right? People have really close themselves off. And I'm not saying it's not without merit, right? Because the world can be cruel. But as cruel as this world is, you have to fight to find your community, right? Of those people that will support you and back you up. So, brother, thank you so much for allowing me to get the backstory, to get caught up to where we are now. And I know y'all are listening like, man, Cortez, get to the success principles. It's like, you got to understand that was the success principle. Perseverance, consistency, persistency, fighting for what you believe in, having a goal, reaching for it, doing your possible so God can do the impossible. Like, that was the, see, some of y'all missed it, but we're gonna call it success now so y'all can better understand. So, brother, when it comes to this entrepreneurial journey, what was your first business venture?
Wow. I mean, if we want to go back, we're talking about like, selling candy, you take a box of candy bars, split it up. Gosh, and even thinking about just selling myself, like selling my story throughout like fundraising and things like that, selling myself to get that scholarship, etc. Right? Like I feel like there's been like that entrepreneurial spirit. But as far as like my first official business, like went out, got the LLC, did the legal consult, accounting consult, all these things, established myself. I moved into the online space as a course creator first.
Okay.
And so I had been like coaching and consulting just informally. People would come up to me, tap my shoulder, whether it was like optimizing their LinkedIn or optimizing the website or, just trying to figure out how to, get the positioning for a product or service to take off. I was tap, many times. And I said, you know what? I can synthesize all of this into a program that I can, get repeated results on. So I pursued development of an online course that was focused on teaching service providers how to sell themselves, how to develop that personal brand, and also how to establish a step-by-step sales process. And that took off. I made over $20,000 in sales in my first year of that program. I was also, coaching and consulting. That also elevated, the clientele on that side of the house as well. And I reached a point where, okay, I was doing that, but I wasn't all the way satisfied. So then I moved into this group coaching model. It's like, okay, you got this content that lives online, then you got these office hours with me, coaches, creators, consultants in that same vein, supporting them. And I loved it. I love doing that work. But then I got tapped by this startup to step in and build out this new function for the business globally. And that was like mind-blowing opportunity. I was like, I can't shy away from this. So I had to scale the business down. And so presently I've got online programs. I do, coaching selectively, depending on my bandwidth and the kinds of businesses that I connect with, because now there are very specific, things that I look for in my partnerships, while also doing the full-time thing. Because here's the other thing is like the myth of, success is like, to get to that, self-made millionaire benchmark, you have to have multiple incomes. There's this like dream of like, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna start the business and it'll just take off
Yeah.
because I dreamt
Yeah.
it and I willed it.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
don't give up that paycheck until you've completely replaced it. That is my advice to anyone who wants
Yeah.
to go into business.
Hey, listen, ask me how I know that to be true. I walked in one morning on a Monday at 9 a.m. I was back in my car at 9:30, and like I got all of this time, so I know I'm just gonna put it in my business and it's gonna take off. Man, listen, 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 Linda, listen. It don't it don't work that way, man. And
Wow.
you got to see that job as your primary investor if you're an entrepreneur. And I didn't see that. I was like, this job is the primary reason I don't have time. Well, I
Mhm.
was also coaching 2 or 3 basketball teams. I was
Yeah.
also volunteering at my church. I was doing a lot of other stuff that I could have
Yeah.
taken time from,
Yeah.
but I quit the job, right?
Yeah.
And I've struggled up and still struggling, but it's better now than it was then. I was like, man, so I'm with you, brother. Do
Yeah.
not walk away from that job, people, until you can not only replace the salary, because people forget about part of your salary goes towards benefits. So you got to actually 2x your salary so you can pay for your own benefits. So
Yep.
a great advice there. So you've
Yeah.
got these 5 myths that you want to bust
Yeah.
about success and business. Let's
Yeah.
go for it, man. What let's start 5 down to 1. I don't know if they are in order of importance or what, but let's tackle them real quick. So
No order of importance. I think they're all equally important, but I think it's all about that mindset shift. And I touched on the first one, which is, there's this myth of like, it's all on you. Like success
Mhm.
is all yours. It's your name on the company, on the website, your face, on the social media. And so you must do it all yourself. You must take it all on. You must learn it all,
Mhm.
program everything, design everything
Mhm.
yourself in order to see success. And that could not be further from the truth. There's nothing admirable about someone that took 7 years to build a business all by themselves, right?
Mhm.
Versus someone who built community, created jobs, and created a movement and
Mhm.
accelerated the results and got it done in 9 months. That is someone that we can learn from.
Yeah.
That is someone that inspires. So I invite you to be that person. Bring
I
everybody
love
up with you.
I love that. There's I can't remember. I try to give credit to everybody that I hear stuff from, and I'm horrible with remembering names. But uh, I think this was Myron Golden from the Cash Man to Trash Man. He talked about an employee wanting to demand a higher salary because I've got 20 years of experience driving this forklift. And mine was like, no, you got 2 weeks of experience because it don't take you that long to learn how to drive a forklift. You got 20 years of applying 2 weeks worth of experience. So you're not getting the type of income that you want. And I think we miss that. And I'm at that place now where I see it so clearly, Louise, like, man, I should have just took that money and just hired somebody so I can keep doing what I love to do versus me taking 8 years to do something that I could have done in 8 months if I took my first little bit of money and used that to hire somebody to do the things that A, I don't want to do, B, I don't care how hard I try, I'll never get good at it anyway because I don't want to do it. And I
Yeah.
could have hired
Yeah.
somebody to do
Yeah.
that. So,
But that also brings up for me myth number two, which is that in order to get it done, you got to pay for all of it yourself.
mm,
This was a mind-blowing thing for me. Like, again, the way that I grew up, I didn't have a mom, dad, or uncle explaining to me the perks and benefits of having an LLC and this and this and that. And I'm
mm,
gonna preface what I'm gonna say. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not an accountant. I'm not here to give advice. I am just speaking on my own on my
yeah.
own experience and saying that it was news to me to learn about like establishing an LLC as a separate entity, taking loans under that LLC and limiting your liability under that LLC.
Mhm.
That's when I realized I'm like, this is the game that they're all playing. That's why they chilling on their little ranches and going on these little vacations, and I'm out here
Yeah.
still like, no. Like that was mind shifting for me, right? And And at the same time, right, there are different ways to also think about getting that cash injection in your business.
Mhm.
Get that credit card, 0% APR, pay it right back. If you have that
Mhm.
kind of discipline and if you know that what you do is validated, hitting up the banks, hitting up the grants, talking to people in your network, getting their
Mhm.
investment, right? Again, that squeaky wheel gets the oil, the closed mouth doesn't get fed. That same principle of like you have to
Yeah.
socialize what you're doing in order to attract the things that you need. And so that's what I would also say is like, I hear you loud and clear. Yes, hire people. Yes, get the
Mhm.
help. But also, don't let not having money in your own pocket be the thing that holds you back. Think about it. You do not need to pay for this business yourself.
Gotcha. I love that. And I know I was just in an event that we talked about earlier, and this young brother, Jalen Legrande, from 316 Creation, one of the hottest Christian-based apparel brands in the country, he's talking about lawyering up because people are looking at, Biden's designs and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I want to lawyer up, but to your point, where do I find the finances? And but being the only one in the room willing enough, brave enough to ask questions. I asked about 10
Mhm.
questions. Nobody else want to ask questions. And we're sitting in front of a panel of multi-millionaires, right?
Mhm.
It's like, listen, go get your minority certification and you can get
Mhm.
a lot of free attorney services just
Mhm.
because they have to give so many hours to minority businesses and they want to help you. Like, man, that was worth the value worth the cost that I paid for that
Yeah.
seminar just to get that one piece of advice. And then one of the other millionaires on the panel followed up and said, hey, go to this organization and they'll help you with your MBE certification.
Mhm. Yep.
Being in the right room, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why you can't do it alone. Back to that principle number one. Principle number two, don't pay for it all yourself. Don't do it all yourself.
Yeah.
Get all that help. I think the third thing the myth that I want to bust for people is that success in business is not linear. It's not like, okay, I'm gonna set a business plan and I'm gonna do this, for the first quarter, and I'm gonna hit these targets, and then this is gonna happen, and then I'm gonna hit those targets, and then that's
Mhm.
gonna happen. There are unforeseen things that happen along the way. You get
Mhm.
sick, the market shifts, that big client fell through, right? That funding didn't come through, or maybe only half of it came through, right? Success is not linear. You have to set that North Star. You have to set the plan because here's the other thing is like if you don't set the goals, you never pursue them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you cannot get bogged down or cannot get discouraged when you miss a goal. If you set three goals and you hit two out of three, pat yourself on the back. That's
Mhm.
progress. We are here for
Mhm.
progress over perfection. Success is
Yeah.
not linear, it's messy. It's messy, and
Yeah.
we got to stick it out particularly when it's hard. When we want to quit, those moments of desperation, those are the
Mhm.
moments that condition you more than any other, right?
Yeah.
And I've had the same experience. I left the job, I started the business, I took a bet on myself, right? But
Mhm.
then there's that uh-oh moment, and then there's that moment of desperation, and there's that moment of, did I do the right thing? Let me call them back, see if I can get that job again. Hang tough.
Yeah.
Push through that desperate. Let people know that you're going through it, but push through it.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're being conditioned, I promise you.
Yeah. Forged in the fire. And why is it that you mentioned we set a goal, we hit two out of three? Why do we obsess over the one we missed and not celebrate
Mm,
the two that we made?
yeah.
Like that's
Capitalism.
crazy. It-
Capitalism. Straight
and
up.
that's
Like,
and that's why I love um the lady from the 5 second rule. Her name is escaping me, but she now is talking about, she high fives herself every day that she passes herself in the mirror because the world is not going to pat you on the back. So if you're not doing it, the world's not doing it. You just never get, congratulations ever. So
uh,
I think that's a pretty dope concept. And I know we get it from like the news will tell me
uh,
95% of the time the 5% of the things that's going wrong in St. Louis. I
mm,
adopt that mindset and I think, well, St. Louis is 95% bad.
yeah.
Same thing happens in our lives. We focus
Mm,
on the 5% that's going wrong 95% of the time. and we walk around like our life is 95% bad. It's just not the case. We just got to shift our focus, right? So I love it, man. We got two more, man. What else you got?
Two more. Let's bring it on home. So the fourth myth, there's this trend that I see often, particularly with newer business owners. Let me set up the automations. Let me get the emails going. Let me get the social media going. Let me get all the things fired off and set up, etc. And I am here to tell you that there are no shortcuts to selling. There is no silver bullet. There is no workaround for avoiding a conversation with a human and providing that experience and providing that service. There is no shortcut to it. There's no way around it. And it's the one skill that people have the most aversion to because, oh, this is my baby. I built it. I'm not going to have you talk about it in any kind of way. Right? Oh, I don't want to be rejected. I can't stand up and pitch and talk to people and look stupid. Right? You have got to get past all of that because if you are a business owner, you are the visionary of that business, and everyone is counting on you to teach us how to sell, to teach us how to talk about what it is that we're doing here. Right? That is all on you. That is the responsibility that you took on. So, myth number 4: no shortcuts to selling. No way around it.
So you mean to tell me that if I post a link about my product that I'm selling on Facebook 1,000,000 times a day, that's not going to get me the result? I still got to talk to somebody, even though if you click the link, it says everything about the product right there. You're telling me that I better develop that skill of looking somebody eye to eye, knee to knee, and saying, hey, this is who I am, and this is what you're buying into.
Yes.
Right.
Right, because here's what I hear often from people. Oh, I had a launch. I launched my online course. Oh, I sent it to my 1,000 email subscribers, but only 50 of them bought. Right, like my conversion rate isn't to my satisfaction. Great. How many of those people did you just reach out to directly? Did you look at the people who opened the emails but didn't purchase? And did you contact them directly and invite them to a conversation with you to ask any questions they might have about your program? Because then you would have converted 75 instead of 50 if you just put in that effort, right? That aversion of like, oh, I don't want to do it. Let the automations and the algorithms do it for me.
Yeah.
You're missing out. You're leaving money on the table. Let's also look at the other side of the coin. You want me to spend $3,000 in your online program and I can't get a person, I can't get a human to answer one question for me just to confirm this is the right program for me. I'm not giving you $3,000 if you're hiding behind a wall, right? Like I need that human interaction if you want that kind of coin, period.
Love it, love it, love it. Makes so much sense. I hope y'all picking out what he's putting down, y'all. This is good stuff. This is stuff that people pay for, and you get that for free. So, by the way, let me just remind you to hit that share button if you have not already. Tag a couple people in it if you're on Facebook. Somebody on your timeline needs to hear this. So we're on number 5 now, Louise. What you got?
Right. I think that I like to remind people that revenue is earned. You're not entitled to it. You don't make money just because you decided to show up, because you made your website pretty, because you post the link on social media. Just because you did everything on your checklist doesn't mean that the money's automatically yours. If you didn't put the energy, if you didn't hire the right people, if you skimped out on the tools and got the cheap stuff that doesn't really work, right? You haven't earned that revenue. You didn't show up. You didn't show up the way that you knew you could have and should have. That's why your money's short. You're not entitled to it just because you checked everything off on your checklist. You still have to provide a great customer experience. Otherwise, you're just teeing it up for the next person. Oh, I went over to Luis's website, his program, and just came up really, really short. Like you seem to be doing something that he's not.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna spend my money with you instead.
Boom. Wow. And again, I'm referencing Jalen LeGrand because he really talked about the experience, right? He talked about having scent machines in his store because he wanted the store to smell a certain way. He was creating an environment that he was intentional about. The brother hired an intercession team for his business. I had never heard of that, but Now I'm thinking about, okay, Mom, I'm gonna need you on Tuesdays and Thursdays to be praying for my business at noon every week, and then we're gonna pay you eventually. But I mean that's so rich. So we're at our second favorite segment of the show, Luis, and this segment is my second favorite, and it's called freestyle because I know you got bars, bro. You came up in the Bronx. Are you kidding me? I
Oh
know
my
you went to
God.
school in Massachusetts, but you came up in the Bronx, bro. You
I did.
Puerto Rico, like
did.
I know. No, so freestyle is not about busting a rhyme. Even though I can drop a beat, if you want me to drop a beat, I
I'm
can
not
drop
gonna
a
embarrass
beat.
myself. I'm not gonna embarrass myself. I'm gonna put it all to shame.
As I'm building this multi-billion-dollar international media conglomerate, starting with this podcast, I realize I ain't go to school for this. I don't always ask the right questions. The conversation doesn't always evolve to where we want it to go. So freestyle is your opportunity to either reiterate something that we covered, or if we haven't gotten to something that you feel is really important for this audience to drop something in their spirits now. So let's get into some freestyle right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, the Luis Baez version. Hit them with your best bars, bro.
Okay. So so far I've been talking about like all the things that you need to think about, mindset shifts and everything relative to success. I want to give you some action. I want to give you something to actually do to start moving the needle forward in your business. Let's think about the way that people buy nowadays. With everything that happened in the past couple of years, we all shifted online. We're used to the chat bots. We're used to this, self-service forms and all of these things. What's happened is from the customer's experience, we've completely removed the human element from buying,
Mhm.
right? Because we're online, because we're trying to scale and keep the cost down and save time, we've also stripped everything of any sort of interaction. And so I want to invite people to think about using personalized video. There's a tool that completely blew my mind and completely like shattered all the results for me in my own business. It's called Video Ask. And what Video
Mhm.
Ask does is it allows you to record a video from your phone, from the computer, and let's say you're in the middle of a course launch. Back to the example I brought up earlier. You got a list of 1,000 people, you had 50 sales, but let's say 150 people opened and clicked your emails but never purchased. Imagine if instead of firing off more automated emails to those 150 people, you instead recorded a video and said, "Hey, it's Luis. I noticed that you came over, you checked out the program. I'm wondering if it might be a fit for you. Maybe you're wondering if it's a fit for you as well. I'm going to invite you to click any of the buttons on the screen. You can record a video, you can record an audio message, or you can type out a message. Let me know if you have a question. Let me know if you're on the fence or if there's something missing from what I'm offering."
Mm.
That invites people to a conversation. It's no longer automation. There's now a face to your business, there's now personality in the business, and there's a way to asynchronously talk through that person's buying considerations. So I'm
Mm.
going to invite you to just completely interrupt the flow and completely interrupt people's expectations of what it's like to buy from you and show some face.
Wow. Drop the mic, ladies and gentlemen. That is freestyle right here on the Cortez Hustle Show with Luis Baez. I told y'all he had bars, man. What y'all? I think I just bring any old Joe on this show. No, I bring the best. You know what? I've been using Video Ask for testimonials because it's easy
Mhm.
to prompt them on questions to get testimonials. But
Yeah.
wow, in the sales cycle,
Yes.
drop that mug right in there. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
What?
Okay.
Oh, Luis.
I'm gonna share one more thing with your audience because I can't just
Drop
stop
it,
there.
man.
Just a little cherry on top of that cherry. For people that do respond to this and they go, "Actually, hey Luis, I do have a question about your program. I've only been in business for so many years. I'm not sure if this module is the right one for me." Not a problem. Let me get back on Video Ask. Let me get on the desktop. "Hey, Cortez, I know that you are interested in this program and you're wondering about this module. Let me share my screen. I'm going to log in. This is what it looks like." When you log in, you'll click here. It's going to pull up the module. This is what the module looks like. Here's all the content within the module. And you had this specific question. Let me show you this worksheet. This worksheet is going to guide you through this entire process and all these considerations. If this is what you're looking for, it's here, it's waiting for you. If not, let me know what it is that you're looking for, because I'm always happy to make updates to the program.
And that right there, my friend, is the gold, because now they're telling me what the program is missing. Now I can make an even better 2.0 version, 2.0.1 version, 2.0.2 version, because I'm getting feedback from the people that matters. That's the old Steve Jobs. Hey man, we're gonna put this iPhone 1 out here like it is, and then we're gonna let them tell us what iPhone 2 should be. And beautiful. I love it. Well, Luis, I know you got to run, bro, but please tell everybody where they can connect with you if they've got questions or concerns or want to follow up on anything you said. What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Well, if you want to see what I'm up to and connect with me on LinkedIn and all that jazz, head on over to luisbaez.com. But if you are picking up what I'm putting down about these video ask videos and you want to see the scripts that I just walked you through and how to set that all up, go to luisbaez.com/video ask and I'll hook it up.
Man, that's amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I told you when we first kicked this thing on that we had a fire episode. Give me a 1 in the comments if you feel like we did not disappoint. If you learned something today, drop a 1 in the comment. Go follow Luis on LinkedIn. And definitely, if you're going to start incorporating video ask in your program, like I am in a different capacity, I certainly want those scripts as well. So that's going to do it for us here on the Cortez Hustle Show. Luis, hang out with me for a second. But we're going to wrap this thing up. Until I talk to y'all next time, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. So hustle up. But you've got to overcome fear if you're going to win.
You're tuned into the Cortez Hustle Show. Please like and subscribe.